Alright, next we're going to go over Netiquette, our Netiquette Guidelines or Internet Etiquette Guidelines. These are extremely important, and this is what your first assignment is going to be based off of, all of this information. So I just want to quickly go over it. So obviously communication in an online classroom setting is a bit different than in a face-to-face setting. Most of our communication will be through written text. Written words can be interpreted very differently than spoken words, as you're missing the elements of body language and tone. For this reason, it is important that we discuss some common rules for good etiquette in our new online classroom setting. These may adapt and be added to as we go on through the class if I feel that something was left out or needs to be addressed. So make sure that you refer back to this multiple times throughout the class. Following these guidelines should help your communication by ensuring that your message is interpreted in the way that you mean it to. So rule number 1, all communication with other students and teachers should be appropriate, polite, and professional at all times. Pretty much just be respectful. While it's easier to say hurtful or disrespectful things without standing face to face with someone, it's important to remember that your classmates and teachers are real people who are affected by the words that you say and write. It is essential to keep in mind the feelings and opinions of others, even if they differ from your own. If you wouldn't say it to someone's face, don't say it online either. So this is important, especially if we have any written discussion questions that get posted into the class. You definitely want to make sure that you're being respectful to your fellow students as well as myself. So rule number 2, we want to be aware of strong language, all caps, and exclamation points. So it's easy for written text to be misread and misunderstood. Have you sent a text message with good intent but your recipient thought that you were being rude? Probably. If so, then you've experienced this firsthand. By being cognizant of strong language, you can identify potential confusions before sending messages. Tip: read everything out loud before you send it. Better tip: have somebody else read it before you send it as well, like a parent, a sibling, guardian, etc. You really want to make sure that everything that you say comes off the way that you mean it and doesn't come off as rude or, sarcastic when it's not meant to be. Which leads us into number 3. Be careful with humor and sarcasm. Certainly you shouldn't avoid being funny. There's nothing wrong with letting your personality shine through in our online classroom. I love it when you guys are funny. I think it's hilarious. But like mentioned in rule number 2, make sure that it's clear that you're being funny and not being rude. Emojis and smileys can be helpful when conveying humor and sarcasm so that it's read correctly. I highly encourage the use of those. Just remember to keep those away from any literacy assignments that we may do in this class. Those should be written in a professional academic capacity. So our Netiquette assignment would be considered one of those literacy assignments. So let's go ahead and keep those emojis and those smileys and pretty much humor and sarcasm out of those ones. So rule number 4. Yes, grammar and spelling do matter. While texting, text speak can be great for your friends. In an educational setting, even online, however, keep it formal. Your written communication should be professional and reflect proper writing style. Save written shortcuts and less than stellar grammar for social media and personal convos if you must, but follow grammar rules for the purposes of our classroom setting. A great tool, Spelling and Grammar Check, is available on Google Docs at the click of a button, so please use it. I put in a little picture of where it's located. It's up on the top right here. Spelling and Grammar Check. You can also use Control-Alt-X as a shortcut, but since most of your assignments written will be turned in through Google Docs, go ahead and use that feature. Number 5, please attempt to find your own answer to your question before asking me. If you're confused or stuck on an assignment, your first instinct may be, or probably will be, to immediately ask a question. But before you ask, take some time to figure it out on your own. For questions related to class structure, such as due dates or policies, refer to your Distance Learning Start Here section of the Google Classroom, or the posted deadline that's on the assignment, because all assignments will have a deadline posted on them. For questions about specific assignments, please reread the instructions and any attached materials, as well as any video instructions, which there will be a video instruction for pretty much everything on here, before asking me a question. Attempt to find the answers to any other questions on your own using a search engine. Google's really good at helping people find answers to their questions, so please, please, please find a way to search it on Google before you ask me. I have 150 students that will be taking this online course, and it will make my job a lot easier, and it will allow me to respond to the students who are asking questions that aren't already answered on this classroom. If your questions remain unanswered after a bit of effort, a little bit of research, then feel free to ask me. Don't refrain from asking questions, just try to figure it out yourself first. Number 6, cite your sources. So whenever you're sharing an idea that originated from someone else, even if it's not word for word, it is good practice to cite that source. This applies to discussion posts too. If you read a great thought in your text, share it, but be sure to let your audience know where you saw it first. We will discuss more on copyright and plagiarism in a future assignment, but please keep in mind that Google Classroom has built-in tools that alert your teachers when your written work has likely been plagiarized. We get a report for everything, and it gives us a percentage of your work that was copied from another online source. Kind of like Turnitin.com if you guys have ever used that. So number 7, turn in your work on time. So the first couple weeks of this class, we're going to be very flexible with this. We are supposed to be assigning 2 assignments at least per week. The goal would be for you to get them done by the end of the week. I have to post 2 grades for you every week. So I will post deadlines on these assignments. These are suggestions, and I highly suggest that you follow them, because if you don't, you're going to get behind real fast, and you're going to have to catch up. So, while we will be flexible, it is very important to making sure that you don't fall behind. So please try to follow them. If something is preventing you from being able to complete an assignment by the deadline, please reach out to me as soon as possible, and I'll work with you to find a solution. We can figure out something that'll work. I have people who have just turned in their packet to me yesterday, and they texted me pictures through Remind, and I was able to get that grade updated for them. So there are ways that we can work around if you're having trouble uploading something, or if you're not going to be able to be on a computer on a certain day. We'll figure it out. Number 8, don't post or share, even privately, inappropriate material. Enough said. Nothing is truly private online. Anything you post can be found, especially through your school district email, which is not monitored, but is auditable. Number 9, be forgiving. Remember that not everyone will remember these rules before posting. Try to be understanding of others when they struggle with written communication. It is very different from simply talking to a person face to face. So, if your classmate says something inappropriate in a discussion post, send me a remind, let me know. Send me an email if you don't have Remind, but try to send me a remind. I'll go ahead and remove it, and just try not to get into arguments online with your classmates. So number 10, and I'm going to say it again, I said it on our communication guidelines, but it's very important. Always use your school district email account for everything school-related. I am not permitted to respond to emails or requests from your personal accounts. The only personal accounts I can respond to are your parents. And I still highly urge them to give me a call or I guess if they have to email me, they can, but I prefer to speak to your parents over the phone so that we can clearly communicate with each other. All right, so after this, now that we've gone over this, if you haven't already, go ahead and do the bell ringer for today, and then get started. Read the materials about your Netiquette assignment and what you're expected to do, and go ahead and get started on that. You'll want to reference this document while you're doing it.